Daf Pei Zayin Amud Beis, 7 lines from the top. Continuing on with the dialogue between the Rebbeinu Shalom and Hoshea Novi, when the Rebbeinu Shalom told him that Bnei Yisrael chotu, he said exchange them for another nation. The Rebbeinu Shalom said to him, if I will tell you to marry an Isha Zaina and have children who are questionable if they are even yours, and tell you to send them away, would you listen? So she gave birth to him, she bore him a son. Hashem said to him, to Hoshea, call the name of the child Yisrael. Why is that? Because in a short while I'll take the Nekama for the blood of Yisrael on the house of Yehu. What is that referring to? That's referring to the fact that he killed out Achab. He killed out the house of the descendants of Achab. The Achab, they killed them in the valley of Yisrael. And another shot is Yisrael Beis Yehu, that it's a reference to the Yisrael, that will be a reference to the Golos, that they will be scattered about, like someone who plants, he sows in a field, he scatters it about. So he said that it will be for that chet, for killing out the house of Achab, even though Achab was a Rasha, and they were deserving of being killed. But since he himself, that the Yehu himself was Ovid Avodah Zarah, Ovid the Baal, just like they were, he was not deserving to kill them out. So as far as he was concerned, in reference to him, it's considered to an Avera. V'hishbati mamluchos beis Yisrael, and I will end the kingdom of Yisrael. So it's a reference that the goals will begin, and the malchus of Beis Yisrael will be terminated. Vataroi v'telebas, and then she gave birth again, this time to a daughter. Vayomer lo yikra shma lo Yeruchama, call her name lo Yeruchama. So what does that mean? Ki lo yoisif od racham es Beis Yisrael. So reference that there will be no more rachmim, there won't be any mercy anymore for Beis Yisrael. Ki nosa es olahem, that should I forgive them? So should I have the midas of rachmim? Should I continue to forgive them? Vatar v'tel loy ben, and then she gave afterwards. She bore afterwards a son. Vayomer krashmo loy ami. So he said to him, call the name loy ami. Ki atem loy ami v'anachi loy elachem. You are not my nation anymore, and I will not be for you. I will not protect you. After she gave birth to these children, Hashem said to Hoshea, shouldn't you have learned from Moshe Rabbeinu? She came to once I started speaking to him and he started having the nevuah, he separated from his wife. You should also separate yourself from your wife. He said to him, he said, I have children from her. I can't remove her or divorce her. How can I send her away? So the Marshal explains the double meaning over here is that if he would divorce her, it would then put a stamp on them and a blemish on them that they were not legitimate. And that's why he's sending them away. So Amarlei Kodesh Baruch Hu said, Ma ata she'ish chazayin. You, who your wife is a zayin. Ubenach b'nei zinunim, and your children are children of a zayna, meaning they're even questionable if they're your children. Ve'en ata yodea im shalchahim im shalachem. You don't know even they're even yours or others. Kach. This is how you answer, and you answer that I can't send her away. Yisrael shem bana. Yisrael, who are my children. B'nei V'chunai, the children of my ones who I tested, B'nei Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, that were oimed in the Nisayan, Echad me'arba kinyanim sheganis v'aylomi, and who there are one of the 4 kinyanim, my acquisitions, the 4 kinyanim, the man in the world. So you expect me to send away Klal Yisrael? Then now the Gemara explains how we see that explains what are these 4 kinyanim. Torah kinyan echad, Torah is 1 kinyan. Tzim Hashem kanani reishes darka. It says Hashem has acquired me, meaning the Torah, the beginning of his derech, the beginning of his path. It's the beginning of his path because the Torah preceded the creation of the world. Shemayim v'aretz kinyan echad, that's also kinyan echad, d'chsiv, kainu shemayim v'aretz. It's Hashem who acquired the Shemayim and the Aretz, heaven and the earth. Beis HaMikdash kinyan echad is considered one kinyan, d'chsiv, harazeh, this mountain, Kansel Yamina, his right hand acquired it. It's considered, therefore, an acquisition of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Yisrael kinyan echad d'chsiv, amzu kanisa. This nation which you have acquired. V'ata amarta avir b'uma acheres. And you're telling me that exchange Klal Yisrael for another nation? Once you realize that he was over in Avera, Amud Levagish Rachem al Atzmei. So Isaiah now started to ask Rachem for himself. Omer lo Yikodesh Baruch Hu, Hashem said to Macha, Tom Levagish Rachem al Atzmei, Levagish Rachem al Yisrael. Before asking Rachem yourself, you should ask Rachem on Yisrael, because Shegazarti Alem Shalish Gezeres Ba'vorcha, because on account of you, because you said exchange for another nation, I was going to turn them 3 Gezeres. Amar Bikesh Rachamim, you start asking Rachem, Batal Gezer. And then the Gezeres were annulled. And then Hashem started to give them a bracha. The number of Yisrael should be like the sand of the sea. And in place where it was said, you are not my people, you're the children of a living Hashem. And they will gather, the Bnei Yehuda, Bnei Yisrael will gather together. And I will plant for myself, I will plant her in my land. I will bring her into my land and plant her in the land. And I will rachem al and I'll say to the ones who are not my nation, you are my nation. The Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, oy lo rabbanu shemekaber, says Paul. He says, oy, for the authority, for Malchus, for someone who has a position of authority and power, that it buries the ones that have that position. You don't have any Novi, well, list of 4 Nevi'im, that you don't have any of these Nevi'im that did not outlive 4 kings. So you see that the Malchus, the authority, causes the Melech to die earlier. The Nevi'im outlived him. Shenemar, it says, Chazan Yeshayahu ben Amoitz Asher Chazal Yehuda of Yerushalayim. This is the Nevi'as of Yeshaya. And it says that he was the Nevi'ah, and the Nevuah that he gave was in the time of Uzziah, Yosem, Achaz, and Chizkiah, the Malcha Yehuda. So you see that he outlived these 4 kings, that he sent his Nevuah during the era of these 4 kings, so he outlived them. As we'll see that the Nevi'im that we're referring to, so this refers over here to Yeshayahu, but there's also Isaiah, Amos, and Micha. And each one of them also outlived the 4 kings. Omer Rabbi Yochanan, Mipnei Mazach, Yerovam ben Yoash, Melech Yisrael, Imnos Malchi Yehuda. Why was Yerovam ben Yoash, why was he Zaycha to be included when they listed the Malchi Yehuda? He was mentioned in that group. Normally the Malchi Yisrael were not mentioned with Malchi Yehuda. The Malchi Yisrael, generally speaking, were Ovdei Avodah Zarah, Ovdei the Baal. So why was he included with the Malchi Yehuda? Mipnei shelo kiva lashon hara al Amos, because he refused to accept the lashon hara that was said about Amos. Minolan de imnim, and where do we see that he was listed with these kings of Tzip? Devar Hashem asher haya Hoshea ben Beeri. This is the word of Hashem that was given to Hoshea ben Beeri, me Uzziah Yosem Achaz Yechizkiyahu Malchi Yehuda. Uvimei Yerovam ben Yoash Melech Yisrael. And it mentions him also, Yerovam, when in the same context that it mentions the Malchi Yehuda. So it's because he was not Mekabel Lashon Hara. Menalad lo kiva Lashon Hara. Where do we see that he was not Mekabel Lashon Hara? They'll see the pasuk says, "Vayishlach Amatzia kain Beisel el Yerovam Melech Yisrael Emer Kasha Lecha." Amatzia sent a message to Yerovam, saying that Amos has conspired, he's plotted against you. And he said that that he said that Yerovam will die by the sword, will die on his throne, which was a Lashon Hara, as the Marsha explained, because that's not what he said. He didn't say that it would happen. He said that after it was a nevuah that was given to Yehu, the great-grandfather of Yerovam, and that it would be over the next, and after the 4 generations, that the throne will be killed out. And so it wasn't in his time; it was in his son's time, in his son Zechariah's time. Omar Yerovam said, "Chas v'sholom, Amar Oishet Tzanikach." Chas v'sholom, that he would have said that. Chas v'sholom, that he would have said that he himself would be killed out, that Yerovam would be killed out. And V'im Omar, and even if he would have said, "Ma'asalei, what can I do to him?" Shechina Amarlei. The Shechina told him. He wouldn't have said anything on his own. And if he did say it, it's because the Shechina told him. So therefore, since he was not Mekabel's Lashon Hara, he had this chashivos, and he was mentioned, he was listed with Malchei Yehuda. Amar Rabbi Elazar, afilu b'shas kalsesh kodesh baruch hu zecher sarapim. He said, we see from the following that even at the time of the anger of Rabbeinu Shalom, he still remembers his midah of Rachmin. Where do we see that? Shenemar, the pasuk says, Ki lo yosef oid rachim es beis Yisrael. The pasuk says, I will no longer have rachmim, pity on the house of Yisrael, Beis Yisrael. So how do we see that from here? It seems to be just the opposite. It seems to be saying that he won't have rachmim. Rashi says, because even though it's a punishment, and it's expressing a punishment, but it still mentions the rachmim. It still is a reminder, is a zecher of the midah of rachmim, or loy oisef oida rachim, but the midah of rachmim is still there. The Mashal says, because it doesn't say that he's going to be angry at them, even though this is a klala, it does not mention kas, doesn't mention anger. The way the in Yaakov says, to split up the pasuk, it's ki lo yosef oid, I won't be any more, I will not be oisef oid, I will not have kas on them. Arachem es beis Yisrael, I will have rachmim on beis Yisrael. So it mentions the midah of rachmim. Another reference is Rabbi Yisibra Rabbi Chanina Amar Mehacha Ki Nasai Esolahem, that I'll forgive them. It says the pasuk clearly that says I'll forgive them. It's a continuation of the previous pasuk, of the previous phrase, and it says that I will forgive him. Now the pasuk pshat is that Ki Lo Yosef Arachem Beis Yisrael Ki Nasai Esolahem, that I should forgive them. Should I forgive them? It wasn't bitmia, but we darshan Ki Nasai Esolahem, I will forgive them. The reason there was the goals they scattered among the nations, they were scattered about. Why is that? So that gerim should be attached to them. I will plant them, I will sow for them for myself in the land. So when a person plants something, he scatters it about, and then it's planted, it grows, and it multiplies. It produces more. So here also, they're scattered about in the nations, and they'll increase in size. They'll be gerim added on to them. So it says, "Shenem was ratli baris klum adam zereis soil haftes kamakorn." A person plants a saw with the expectation that when he harvests, it'll be much more. It'll become a korn. Rav Yochanan Amar Mahacha v'rechamti es loy ruchama. Rav Yochanan says that from the following, that you see the pasuk says, I'll have rachim es loy ruchama, I'll pity the one that didn't have pity. So then it says, the continuation of the pasuk says, and that I will say to those who are not my people, you are my people. Therefore we see that other people, gerim, will join Klal Yisrael. So I'll say that Amiata, that you are my nation. So to the ones who aren't, meaning the ones who are currently Nachrim, they'll be gerim. It says, don't, they say, Lashon Hara, don't slander a slave to his master, because he might curse you and you'll be found to be guilty. Uksiv, and it says, a generation that curses his father and doesn't bless his mother. So what's the smichas of these two phrases, what's the connection between the two? As the Maharsha explains, because it doesn't say then the end of the pasuk when it says Dar Aviv Yikalav Asim Allah Yivarech, it doesn't say the consequence of that. So therefore, it would appear to be that it is connected to the previous part, which means that you would interpret it Al Tal Sheneven Al Dainav Pen Yikalav Hashamta and Dar Aviv Yikalav Asim Allah Yivarech. Don't curse an Evet to his master, even though it's a generation that curses his father and doesn't bless his mother. So what's the connection? Mishum Davi Vikal Vasim Al Talshin, is that a reason not to say Lashon Hara? If they do such a terrible thing, curses the father, doesn't bless the mother, that's the reason why you shouldn't? Is that giving a reason why you shouldn't? They be Malsh and Evet to the master? Ella, what's the pshat? Ella fila dorsha avi vikala simulay varch means, even if it's a generation, that is so terrible. They do these terrible things that it curses the father, doesn't bless the mother, but still, notwithstanding that, al talsha never let it. Notwithstanding, don't say the Lashon Hara, don't say bad about the generation to its master, to the Rabbi Shalom. And where do we see this? From Yeshaya, even the Rabbi Shalom said to Yeshaya, the Klal Yisrael's chaytam, he was found lacking in that he said, exchange him for another nation. So even if it's a generation that does something so terrible, don't speak badly about them. Amar Rav Yoshi Masechet, it says by the Shir's Devayer, Tzidkais Persona Yisrael, that they'll say over the Tzidkais, the righteous deeds of the Rabbi Shalom, that they did for the open city, for the Pirzaina Yisrael, for the open city, for the Prozais, for the open city in Yisrael. So what does it mean? Tzedakah, the Kodesh Baruch Hu Yisrael, we darshan it as follows: that as Rabbi Shalom did a tzedakah, that he did a righteous things for Yisrael, Shepizra Lebeinu Umas. So we darshan Pizraina like lefazer, to spread out. He did a tzedakah, he did for them something of kindness, of chesed, that he scattered them out in the Golas amongst the nations. Not in one nation, they weren't just all sent to one nation, they were scattered about. Why is that? Like we see from the following, there was a certain man that said to Rabbi Chanina, Anan Malin Minaycha, we're better than you. See, it says by you, Kisheshes Chadoshim Yeshev Sham. It says over there that Yoav went to kill out Edom. He was there for 6 months and killed them out. They were descendants of Amalek, so he spent 6 months to kill them out. Va'elo Anan, as for us, it says, Isnuchu Gavan Kamashani. You have lived with us for many years, and we haven't done anything to you. So you see, we're better than you are. You killed out your enemies, and we don't. He said, with your rishus, I'll let one of the Talmidim answer you and deal with you. And so Rabbi Yosha answered him. So he said, Omerle, why is that? You're saying that you're such tzaddikim, that you didn't kill us out, you didn't harm us, but why is that you didn't? Not because you're tzaddikim. Because you don't know how to deal with it. Why is that? If you destroy us all out, we're not all living by you. We don't all live by you, so you don't have the ability to do it. The way, if you're going to kill the ones who do live with you, they'll call you a malchus, which is that commits genocide, that it's malchus katia, that has patches, that has bald spots, that has areas that were wiped out. They'll call you a nation that commits genocide. Meaning, since all the Yidden aren't here, they're Yidden all over the world. If Dafka, the Yidden in your country are wiped out, they'll call you murderers. He answered them, the Romain made a shua by the wall of Rome, walls of protectors. So he made a shua in his Avodah Zorah. With this machshava, we go down and we go up. Meaning, it's constantly on our minds how to deal with this. Meaning, he says, you're right, and you're right, that really, that's what they want to do. They would like to destroy the Yidden. It's just that they don't have, practically speaking, they don't have the ability to deal with it. Tani Rav Chia, Maidak Siv, says Elokim Haven Darkavahu Yodas Mekayim. Hashem understands her ways and knew her place. What does that mean? Yodei HaKadosh Baruch Hu es Yisrael. He knows, he understands the nature of Yisrael. Shen Yechol Mekabel Gzeres Chosarei Zerah. He knew that they would not be able to withstand the harsh decrees of Edom. So he therefore did not exile them to Edom. He didn't send them to the Golos to Edom. So the Ficha Higel and Oisem LeBavel. That's why by the Golos he sent them to Bavel. So either means by the Golos Rishon that were sent to Bavel, or by the Golos Sheni, where initially a good portion of the people were living in Bavel, not in Edom. Va'omar Rabbi Elazar Lo Higel Kadosh Baruch Hu es Yisrael Bavel Abnei Shamuk Kishal. Why did Kadosh Baruch Hu Davka pick Bavel to send them into the Golos? Because it's deep. It's like the Sheol. It's like a grave. It's a deep, low-lying area, and it's like the grave. And therefore, by sending him there, he could be Mekayim the following pasuk. Shenemar, the pasuk says, Miad Sheol Eftem, Mimah V'Segolim. And therefore, he can be Mekayim what it says, that I will redeem them from the Sheol, and I will be goyal them from Mavis, from death. So therefore, sending them to Bavel, he can now redeem them, because he'll be redeeming them from the Sheol, because it's deep like the Sheol. Rabbi Chanina Amar, it says a different reason, because the language is similar to the Lashon of Terah, and therefore it will help them not to forget their learning, as Rashi says, because it is a similar type of Lashon. Marshal says it will help them to understand the Torah. It's a Lashon that's similar to the Lashon of Torah. Rav Yochanan Amar says a different reason, because it's a natural thing. He sent them to where they came from, to the house of the mother. Meaning, Avram Avinu, he was in Ur Kasdim, so they got sent back to Ur Kasdim. Mashal Adam Shekal Salishta, he got angry with his wife. If he gets angry, where does he send her to? To back to her parents, to her mother's home. He said 3 went back to their original source. What are they? Elohein, Yisrael, Kesem Mitzrayim, Ksav Luches. It's called Yisrael, the wealth of Mitzrayim. When Bnei Israel came out of Mitzrayim, they had the wealth of Mitzrayim that was restored, went back to Mitzrayim, and the Ksav Luches, and the writing on the Luches Abris. Where do we see this? Yisrael Hadom, like we just said, that they were exiled to Bavel. Kesem Mitzrayim Dechsiv, it says in the pasuk, Vayi b'shonah chamishis lamelech Rechavam ala Sheshag melech Mitzrayim al Yerushalayim. So he came, and he was the king of Mitzrayim, and he came and he made a war against Yerushalayim, and it says over there that he plundered and he took the spoils from the Beis HaMelech and from the Beis HaMikdash. So that's where they had the wealth of Mitzrayim, and he took it back with him. It went back to Mitzrayim. Ksav HaLuchos, the writing on the Luchos, the Tziv says, Vashabrem Leinechem. It says that I broke the Luchos, Vashabrem Leinechem, before your eyes, which we darshan, Tana Luchos Nishbru Voices Parchos. The Luchos bris were broken, Moshe Rabbeinu broke the Luchos, and the letters flew back to Shemayim. So they came from Shemayim, and they went back to Shemayim. They went back to the source. So the Marshal explains, it says Le'einechem. And so therefore, it's Le'einechem, it was broken before your eyes. It doesn't say Lifnechem. Normally it would say Lifnechem, before you. It says Le'einechem, means something that you see in your eyes. That it's something that that you can see, and you can see that it's taken up to Shemayim. The Rashi explains that it's something that Le'einechem is a pella, it's wondrous in your eyes. So therefore we see over here that they saw the Luchos flying up to Shemayim. That's where they came from, that's where they went to. Ula Amar, he says a different reason, they went to Bavel so they would be able to eat Tamarim dates and be asked b'teir, and to be able to be Isaac b'teir. The dates were not expensive. There was abundance of dates in Bovel, and the dates would keep the body warm and give them energy, etc. So therefore, there was an ideal place for them to go so that they would not have to work that hard for parnosa. They would have sustenance and they'd be able to be Isaac b'teira. Ule klala pumbedisa, he wanted to pumbedisa krivelei tarina the tamet. They brought him a basket of dates. Amrlu, he asked, Kama kihani bezuza. How many are like these that you sell for a zuz? Amrle tlas bezuza. He said three for a zuz. Omar, he said, Molatzona the dusha bezuza. There's a basket full of honey. The honey comes from the dates. It's for a zuzah. It's only for a zuz. And they are not Isaac b'teir. They have such an easy, inexpensive means of sustenance. They don't have to work hard. They don't have to spend time with parnosa, and they're not Isaac b'teir. So Belayla Tzarusuru, that night, so he ate from the dates, and then that night it bothered him. It caused him to have diarrhea. Omar, so then he retracted his position and he said, Molet son is some of the Maisa Bezuza Bebabel. Baskets full of poison sells for a zuz. Meaning this is what they have to eat, that people eat, this is what they have to eat, this is common food over here, and it's a basket of poison. Oh, why ask about Isa? And they still have the schos, the merit, that they're Isaac b'teir, meaning he said it now, l'shvach, to praise them. Their food causes them such sorrow, such sickness, and still they're Isaac b'teir. So he reverses his position and he praised them.